Welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. Hope you guys are having an amazing day. In today's video, guys, I want to talk about the Hydra and the changes, and I want to give some constructive feedback on what Plarium should change to make Hydra a bit more enjoyable. Currently, all I'm hearing in my DMs and just seeing it posted everywhere, socials, discords, etc. A lot of people don't want to get bothered with Hydra whatsoever. They don't care about it anymore because it's horrendous. Since they introduced the changes. So I want to give a bit of constructive feedback on how they can improve some of the things and what they really need to address, basically. I know I've made quite a few different videos on the topic, but you know what? I'm not gonna stop till some of the changes will actually be implemented. Basically, this time around, we're not here to cry about damage and stuff like that, even though I will bring it up. That's not the whole point of the video. Basically is the whole situation with the Hydra and what exactly is making it so frustrating right now. At the moment, people don't really want to do Hydra, right? And without Plarium even realizing, indirectly they're stopping people from doing live arena as well. A lot of people started playing live arena just to get their area bonuses up and running. The most important thing being Hydra battles and the Curse City. The rest is just not as relevant, to be honest. So if you don't want to get better damage in the Hydra clan boss, because there is not much of a reason to do it, it's pretty hard. It doesn't matter what damage dealers you're bringing. The more OP the damage, basically the more you get punished, right? So people don't want to get new champions for Hydra clan boss. People don't care about getting blessings for Hydra clan boss. People don't care about making stronger teams because all this became more irrelevant. Now, true, a lot of people are suffering from the changes. And I'm talking about people that are progressing through the Hydra, mid-game players, even some of the end-game players that were able to basically reach a decent score before. Now, they're not really doing much. So, basically, what I want to do, guys, is head over into the Hydra clan boss and show you guys a couple of different things that I would change, right? So it just makes sense to be different than it currently is. But we're gonna start it on manual. Now, the main thing that really sucks after the changes is the AI for champions. Ally attack champions targeting the heads with a serpent buff, damage dealers targeting the heads with a serpent buff because they're going for affinity or low HP or God knows what. And there's basically chaos, okay? And that's one of the main things that is reducing the damage for most of your auto teams. That's the main factor, the bad AI. So that's something that they've already confirmed that they are planning to fix in the next major update. We have no idea when that will happen, right? Now, if we're gonna start slowly to smack these heads around, just to kind of like get to the moment where I can actually make my points valid to show you exactly what I'm talking about. So I do have to basically play it a little bit just to be able to show you what I'm trying to say, you know. So let's deal some damage. Let's bring in Turvold and take that down. Turvold can take the heads on hard difficulty down at +4 6-star crushing run with crazy stats. If he doesn't have that, he's not going to one-shot the heads. The only champion in the game that has the potential to one-shot heads on every single difficulty is Stranda. And as I mentioned before, the main reason why they introduced the mechanic with 100% damage reduction is because of Stranda, even if they're saying that that's not the case. It is the case 100%. Then you have the Mischief Head. When you kill the Mischief Head, it's going to drop the Thermometer on the other heads, right? So that's another problem. And that's mainly when the new heads spawn out and they have the Serpent buff. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to show you that. And I do want to show you one more thing in just a second. So right here, we have 4 decapitated heads. If you are paying attention to the turn count, this one right here has 1 turn, and this is the Thermometer. This one has 1 turn, and this is the Thermometer. Then you have 2 heads with 2 turn counts, and they have plenty of Thermometer. Now, I want to show you one thing that happens, and I really think it should not happen. Hopefully, we're going to be able to land that defense down from Lydia. Come on. We cannot just yet. We cannot do it just yet, but we're going to do a bit of damage right here. And, pretty hard to make it happen. Pretty hard to show what I'm trying to show right here, unfortunately. So let's see if we're going to be able to do it. This one has hacks. I don't think I'm going to have enough damage. But either way, we're going to have two that will get the damage. So check this out, because you're gonna see it right here. 1, 2. So you see we drop the HP on 2 heads. But the one that's killed, it doesn't spawn. Instead, it's spawning the other one that has 1 turn left. And then it spawns you another one with a shield immediately. So this is a thing that happens so freaking often. And it's just dumb. It should not happen. Because I know when you have 4 decapitated heads, guys, that's in the Hydra mechanics, 2 of them will always spawn together when they're 4 down. And of course, the 2 that will spawn together will be the ones that are closer to take a turn. But in this case, where you kill, where you break the HP on 2 decapitated heads, and the other 2 still have HP, that in no way you should have the one with HP spawn before the one that died just because he's about to take a turn before the other one. So this is something that they need to fix in the coding, because as you may notice, this will instantly create me one issue. And that issue is me having to deal with 3 heads that have the buff. Because instead of spawning 2 and 2, you're gonna spawn 3 and 1. So one will have the buff, then the other one, even if I'm not going to attack this head right now that's decapitated, he's still going to spawn before I'm going to kill the other one and stuff, right? So that is one of the main issues. Then, of course, if I have hacks, that will bring more damage, more issues to the table. Then you have an AoE decreased speed, and this happens. You have decreased speed right now on the heads with the Serpent buff, that not only that will take 0 damage, but now will spend 20 hours to take a turn, right? So that's another issue. And I'm gonna get to my points in a second. So I just wanted to show you that in action with the way the heads spawn when you have 4 decapitated, and how that is wrong. Even though that's the original old mechanic, we did not have the same issue with the Serpent buff. But right now will instantly cause you to have 3 heads with the Serpent buff, right? You're gonna go and take this one down. Even if I was not going for it, it was gonna spawn because it's about to take a turn. So now you have 3 heads with the Serpent buff. This right here occurs 80+% of the times, to have 3 of them with the Serpent buff at all time. So this will of course reduce your damage. Now, in order to basically stop this from happening as often as it happens, the very first thing I would suggest to Plarium to consider in changing is making them immune to decreased speed. Like that, they will take a turn and the decreased speed will not affect them. But again, you're still not going to be able to deal damage versus them. But even if you're running an auto team, a manual team, they will rotate faster. They will lose that buff faster. And that's something that it really, really needs to change, because having decreased speed on the Hydra heads right now is not such a good thing. Probably you've heard me talking about it quite a few times, but honestly, it's just not a good thing, because you're just wasting turns and you're dealing almost no damage, right? And this costs you overall a lot of damage. So if they will adjust this thing, we wouldn't have such a big issue. The next thing that I want to mention is this one right here. So let's just take it as an example. I have 3 heads with the buff on, and then the Head of Mischief doesn't have the buff. Well, when I go in and kill the Head of Mischief, guess what happens? The heads with the Serpent buff drop their turn meter. So I guess I have to wait 20 more days for them to take a turn now, and I'm gonna deal 0 damage. Now, in the meantime, yes, I can attack the other 2 heads and deal some damage, but they will spawn back with the buff as well. So these 3 things are some of the most annoying things with the changes. Yes, getting 0 damage is absolutely annoying. You should not be targeting heads like this as a strategy, just to don't break the HP on a decapitated head to bring it back, just to don't use a bigger skill so you don't damage the other heads, because it kind of like defines the whole purpose of Hydra. And basically, what's the point of having good champions if you cannot use them as you should? So there you go. Right now, 3 with the protected buff. No matter what I was doing, that will be the case. Then you have an AoE decreased speed, especially if you're doing auto, and you're gonna chill a bit longer right there. Then You let it go on auto, ally attack, and guess what it goes? It goes on ahead with a freaking serpent buff. I just wasted all that for 0 damage. Then the other one spawns with another buff. And nobody's taking damage, and I'm just taking turns like an idiot here and deal 0 damage. So these are really some things that Plarium needs to look at and change. I know I've talked about it quite a few times, you know, and a lot of you guys are very vocal. The main thing is a lot of you guys are extremely vocal on socials, on Discord, in my DMs. The majority of you guys basically lost pretty much any interest you had in the Hydra clan boss whatsoever, and I cannot blame any of you. Plarium just basically put the game mode in auto destruction in a way or another. Some of you guys are happy with the changes. I feel like most of you guys are happy with the changes that people cannot deal insane damage with Tranda, with weak spell teams, etc. Right? And that is a bit more balanced now. But even that is still not what it should be, considering what teams I'm going to show you and what numbers I'm going to show you on the second week since the changes are implemented. So just to make a quick recap, guys, change the way the 4 hats spawn. Make them spawn in the order of who has the HP destroyed. And if the other one has more turn meter and it has only 1 turn left before spawning, don't make that hat spawn just because of it, if it still has HP, right? It just doesn't really make sense considering that they've implemented a new mechanic. Maybe this is something that they missed and they haven't realized that it will happen. It can be a thing, you know. It's not a big deal as long as they're actually looking to address this mechanic. Then make the hats with the serpent buff be immune to decreased speed and decreased turn meter. You won't believe it how often it will happen where you have the Head of Mischief coming out, maybe without a buff, and of course you're gonna be forced to kill him to deal damage. You're not just gonna attack Hydra heads that take 0 damage, because that's not a thing. You should not be doing it. Look at that. AI on auto. These champions are missing all of their wills right now, okay? Let me just put it like that. So they need to become immune to turn meter decrease when they have the serpent buff. And that will basically make all of this mechanic much better than it is at the moment, because right now is extremely hardcore. And one thing that unfortunately I won't be able to show you in this video, guys, is when the Hydra heads start devouring champions, right? You guys know after a certain point, let me just make sure nobody dies right here. After a certain point, the HP bar increases. So you have to deal more damage to free the champion that's being devoured. Now, I'll be plain and straight to the point here. That thing does not affect any of the crazy teams. That thing will not affect any of my teams. That thing will not affect any of the thousands of crazy teams that they are in the game. So I really do not understand why Plarium had to put it in there. The only thing that I can see is basically to stop other people that are struggling in Hydra to reach the turn limit count. And honestly, considering that is not affecting any of the stronger players, and I'm not talking about Krakens only. A lot of you guys that are in the end game, you might even be free to play, right? There are plenty of strong free to play accounts out there. You don't have an issue to free your champions, even if that green bar is at maximum, right? So it doesn't really make a sense to have it as it is. I know they increased it to try and make Hydra harder, sorry, but I don't think it makes it harder for the majority of the players that are able to reach the turn limit count. It makes it harder for people that are progressing through Hydra, people that are trying to get a better score, people that are trying to climb on different difficulties. And I don't think they should be punished. Yes, Hydra, it was always meant to be some very endgame content. But that's not the way to do it, because that's basically changing the whole idea of the Hydra clan boss. And that's the challenge of bringing in 6 champions. That's the challenge of fighting different mechanics. That's the challenge of dealing with fear, with provoke, with damage, with all of these things, right? So just adding nonsense on top of it to basically don't really stop the strong teams, but instead stop the weaker teams makes no sense. So I would definitely decrease that as well. That green bar should not get as big. Okay, maybe you increase it once and that's it, you know? Because it doesn't really affect the strong teams. It only affects the teams that are struggling, and that shouldn't really be the case, right? Then, talking about some of the damage from some of the different teams, guys. I'll show you a few teams. Yes, another thing that I actually forgot to mention is, would be good if they would make only 2 heads with the Serpent buff out of 4. So when you have a lot of heads spawning and you already have 2 with the Serpent buff, the other 2, they should not be able to get the Serpent buff no matter how they spawn. It doesn't matter what they're doing, if you're killing them one by one, but you should never have more than 2 with the Serpent buff. So if Plarium is changing all of these things that I've mentioned, this will completely change. It won't be such an issue. Now, the next issue that will appear if they are doing that, Tranda will deal even more damage than she currently deals, because she's going to one-shot 2 heads all of the time and basically kill 2, bring 2 back, kill 2, bring 2 back, kill 2, bring 2 back. And that will increase her damage by a lot. But that means that Plarium still needs to look at a different thing that's related to Tranda rather than related to the Hydra mechanics, just to stop one champion and sacrifice hundreds of different teams and champions that right now are basically underperforming, comparing it with what we previously had. So, if we're going to go over quickly to some of the scores. Right here, my clanmate Zetais, big shout out to him, a big Hydra brain, dropped in 4.2 billion damage with Tranda. This is the second week, guys. On the first week, we got 3.9 billion, close to 4 billion on Nightmare. Right, then we have Juan right here, 4.1 billion. This person last week dropped 3.6 with double Yumeko. Now, for all of you guys that are constantly saying that double Yumeko is the problem, as you can clearly see, there is no Yumeko involved. So Yumeko was never the problem, right? I'm not saying that Yumeko did not activate Tranda to do more damage, but as you may notice, different champions can pretty much do the same and still get an insane result. Then the second best team in the game after Tranda is my team right here, or Ziggy's team right here, who actually beat my score by 20 million after I got the world record, right? Which is fine. I'm going to plan to get that back at some point. Tranda, double Yumeko, 1.2 billion. Now, I'm sure Andy just did a key. He did not went too crazy on it to change many things. But if we are going to head over to the RSL Leaderboards Discord, I want to show you a key from here. So if you guys haven't joined this Discord just yet, jump in. Is basically a record holder for everything in Raid Shadow Legends, right? So you have Hydra, Clan Boss, Dungeons, pretty much everything that is related to the game. Maybe some of you guys might want to share your personal best. Maybe some of you guys might want to have an idea of what is happening in the game. So right here at Nightmare without Tranda, you see, Ziggy got me by 20 million. And then we have the Tranda team. So big shout out to Pry right here, who actually reached 5.4 million yesterday. So basically, guys, this, as I mentioned in previous videos, is a very bad rotation for Tranda, because you have 3 force heads. And this is the team right here. It even looks almost free to play. You have Deliana, free to play, I'm joking, right? You have Deliana, you have Fina, you have Balanor, Islin, and Firal. It's of course all to do with Fina, her skills, her passive, and then you have Tranda with Nature's Wrath instead of Crushing Ran, because she's already going to ignore plenty of defense. Very good score, 5.5 billion. Now, this team will probably reach 8 to 10 billion on a better difficulty. Hell, maybe it's even going to reach more. Not 100% sure. So the reason why I'm mentioning this is if Plarium will modify the Serpent buff to only be on 2 heads at a time, Tranda will get even more damage. So then they will definitely need to look at some different mechanics related to her. I do want to mention a couple of different things, guys. If you have any different ideas, let us know in the comments down below. Personally, I would actually increase the HP on the decapitated heads. Add another third to it. Like this, enemy max HP champions will become even more important, more valuable. Which means that people that are struggling to build crazy damage dealers will be able to perform better in the Hydra Clan Boss because they have enemy max HP champions, which will deal even more damage. So that will be thumbs up. They can do that. Of course, the other champions will deal more damage too if they have heads with higher HP. But it will be something that will overall improve all of the player experience. The next thing is Hydra Clash multipliers. So a lot of people are struggling now to reach 1.2 billion or 650 million damage. So I know Plarium mentioned that they might modify the multipliers if needed, okay? I feel like they can definitely go and do it. Right now you get 2x on hard, 3x on brutal, 4x on nightmare. Make it 3x on hard, 4x on brutal, 5x on nightmare. And that will help quite a bit, right? To be able to score more just like that, even though you're not seeing bigger numbers in your team. And that will help as well with the 650 million chest, which, by the way, I made a video where I mentioned that this should become clan related. And a lot of you guys were like, no, that should not happen because then all of the people are slacking. People will not be doing damage and they will just leech and get the chest from the clan. It's actually sad that people are not looking to improve their teams to help the clan in a multiplayer game, right? If you don't want a clan play solo, it is actually pretty annoying in some cases that a lot of you guys are facing with leeches in the clans, and I guess it is what it is, and they do exist. So I definitely get what you guys are saying related to that idea. But either way, that was all for the video. Hopefully, we managed to offer some constructive feedback in here. As I mentioned, if you have any ideas, let us know in the comments down below. Much love, appreciate all of you guys watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.